Good morning. Good morning, GM, everyone, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Friday, April 4th, 2025. Folks, Tariff again is here. Markets crashed yesterday. It looked like we were starting to rebound. China slaps a 34% retaliatory tariff on us. Markets fall some more. There's blood across all markets right now. The question becomes, is the pain over or is it just beginning? And is it finally crypto's chance to shine? We're going to break it all down on today's show. No Mando, but we still have a full house, folks. We've got Farouk back. We've got Logan. We've got Stats. What a cast. Farouk, shout to you first. GM, how you doing? Live from Switzerland.
Good morning. Guten Morgen, like they say in the Deutsch side of Switzerland. I'm doing good. Listen, I'm in the home of Ethereum, of the Solana Foundation, of Cardano, of every single crypto company as we speak, live from Zug. That's where they're all based. So maybe I'm going to go have a quick chat with the Ethereum Foundation, about a 10-minute walk away from me. My name does say still bullish, still foolish. That's for sure. I wake up every morning in Europe and the market's pumping. I am here making Europe great again. Every single day I woke up here, I saw a 20% Farcoin candle, and then you guys wake up and somehow manage to fuck shit up. So we're gonna have to have a chat today, but I'm glad to be here. It feels good, and I love it when you intro. It's like I like it. I love the energy.
Well, I see a 20% candle on Farcoin right now. So maybe America is pulling our own weight over here.
Because I called them out. I was like, "Come on, America."
Well, thank you for your service. Logan, live from Peru, folks. We are global today. This is a global show. Logan, yeah, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, folks. Doing well. Again, another beautiful day here in Peru. A little sweaty after the walk here just because it is so hot and humid, but otherwise can't complain. I'm trying not to look at the markets really at all when I got the sun shining. So I'm doing better than I could be.
We love to hear it, folks. Stats, friend of the show, chief chart officer at Memeland, provides great commentary across markets. Sam, how you doing?
What's up, boys? I love hanging with Farouk. He's just got such good energy. Sometimes you forget it on crypto Twitter, but like when you see the dude real life, you're like, I love this guy. And Logan, here's actually some not alpha. Here's a fact. I actually had an alt account on Friendtech, and I was one of the early buyers of Logan's keys. I don't think he ever even knew it. So
wow.
It's nice to see the guy face to face.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
Old school.
Logan's a sleeper, Like he's low.
I didn't even know what he looks like. This is the first time I actually know what Logan looks like. What's up, dude?
Hello. Yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Sam exposing him that he doesn't watch our show.
I don't. I listen. I'm like a Spaces guy. I'm not a YouTube
It's true.
guy.
You do listen. I see you.
Yeah, we'll let it slide. Folks, what are we talking about on today's show? Tariff again, wrecking markets. Stocks are down. China retaliates. Crypto falls, but rebounds. The 10-year sub 4. California wants an exemption. The job report was good. We're going to break it all down. Talk market impact. Polymarket recession odds are at 56%. We betting yes or no on that. We're going to talk meme coins. There's some strength out there. There's some strength in alts, Sonic. There's some strength in all of the Farcoin, Tickcoin, Housecoin crew right now. And then we're going to also debrief a little bit from our interview with Wayfinder yesterday. Man, that was quite the conversation. And maybe talk to Sam about his recent punk buy and how he is feeling about that. Plus maybe what Memeland is cooking as well. Before we dive in, shout out to our partners, starting with Galaxis. Galaxis is a Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence. Trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA, shaping together the future of engagement. And Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect. That blue logo, it's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. All right, we love our partner. Shout out to them as always. No Mando today. So I guess I will do a quick market report and then get into discussion with our crew here. Firing up the screen share for those who are in the stream. Let's take a look at the crypto board Bitcoin 82,700, up 1% on the day. ETH also up 1%, 1790. SOL all the way down here now, 116. Still, that's up. That's up on the day, up 2%. So what has been happening? We had Tariff again yesterday. Stocks fell 5%, worst day in 5 years. If you throw out COVID, worst day in a decade. And then this morning, it looked like we were starting to rebound. When I woke up, Bitcoin was 84,700. Looked like we were all set up for just a fantastic Friday. And then the news comes, China is going to do a full retaliation, 34% back on U.S. goods. That's on top of the 20% they had, so 54% tariffs live from China. So markets did not like that. Let's check in on where we're at. Yeah, it looks like the Dow Jones down 3%, S&P's down 3.5%, Nasdaq's down 4%. Jeez Louise. VIX is up 25%. So volatility is at all-time highs, effectively. Well, at least it feels like that.
Not even close.
Sorry. Volatility
VIX was like over 100 during like the financial crisis.
Got it. Okay. So we're not all-time highs, but much higher than we were. 10-year at 3.9%. So the first time we've been sub 4 since basically September of 2024. So that is down quite a bit, almost a full point now from peak. Mag 7 index down, in line with stocks, so down 3.5% here. So a lot of red out there. There's certainly a lot to unpack here. Sam, maybe I'll throw it to you first. Amanda was on yesterday. We had a decent conversation about the tariffs, what's happening, perhaps our thoughts. What's your high level take?
I mean, I think if all this stuff goes through, then equities have a lot lower to go because, I mean, I think the market, right? I mean, we're like, if you look at like an Apple chart, like Apple has been built on globalization. It's been built on cheap components, built on cheap labor. Like that is what has built the biggest companies in America. And right now, one of the ideas here is that we are going to is that because of these huge wins that American corporates have had, American manufacturers and the manufacturing class has lost. And that is really the JD Vance philosophy that I feel is getting pushed here. And if we're trying to reverse that, like perhaps a huge win for the working class for America, but a massive loss for the big corporates. And the American stock market is the big corporates. So if that is the goal, I think there's a lot more to go down. The question is that really the goal? How relentless are they going to be? I think anyone who thought that Xi Jinping was not going to retaliate has their head in the sand. I mean, the idea that China's, Trump always says that, he rules with an iron fist. The idea that, this tariff announcement that is pretty, just pretty aggressive towards China and other countries. The idea that he would just take it, this is a guy who shut down his entire country for 3 years during COVID. Like he's very fine with short-term pain. So anyone who thinks that Eric Trump tweeting, everyone should listen to my dad, was actually going to move Xi Jinping is crazy. That at the end of the day, I think these tariffs would be terrible for both sides, if they stay so elevated with China. And ultimately, I think you're going to get resolution. It's just very hard to know what's going on. I just tweeted right now, I have a headline from yesterday about how Trump was open to negotiations, and I have a quote from Trump today about how nothing's ever going to change. I said here, these are two quotes. Admittedly hard to know what to think. This was a headline yesterday where he said it, and then if you look at the next image, he vows that nothing will ever change. So it's very hard. It's very hard to know the motivation here. But I think there's a lot of potential volatility. One thing I think is most important though is crypto is holding up very well. And I think the two bull cases on Trump are on Trump and crypto are one that he clearly wants to buy a lot of crypto. You got Lutnick, you got Loomis, you got a lot of these people, Bitcoin maxis kind of in very high power decision-making roles. And that has clearly played out. Trump, Bitcoin's still up a lot since he was elected. But the second thing is he's extremely chaotic. And I think that there is this theory that Bitcoin's a bit of a chaos hedge. It's a bit of a who knows what the fuck's going to happen with the US dollar hedge. And I think you're starting to see hints of that in the way that Bitcoin's trading right now, which has not been true in the past. In the past, Bitcoin's traded nothing like gold. So I think you're 3 days does not make a trend, but I don't know. That's a lot of rambling, Tyler. Sorry to ramble so much.
No, that was great. And I think I'm with you This is not the gold chart. I'll have to find the gold chart here in a second.
Just Google price of gold. You get it, I think.
BAR.
Yeah.
BAR is
BAR,
an ETF.
yeah.
But
BAR is no, just bar. That's BRK.
That's a bar, baby.
Bar
That's a
stack.
bar.
Yeah. Oh shit. I'm sorry. They're granite.
No, just
that's it. I'll get it here in a second, and then I'll put it up on the screen. I think I'm with you in that there's just so much back and forth. Like he's saying so many different things, like no negotiations. No, we are open to negotiations. And we're all just stuck in the mud. Like what, if you run a business, like what are you supposed to do? Like if you're an investor, like, what are you supposed to do?
And that's why I think this idea that I think there's a lot more proof to be had if what I said earlier is going to happen. That for manufacturing to be onshored, like that's a 5 to 10 year capex commitment for Nike. Like to say it is a better 5 year, so not only will Trump no longer, in all likelihood be president in 4 years, and this is all, executive order, so it can all get unwound immediately. But if you really wanted this to be something that companies would make decisions off of, you would want it ultimately to go through Congress and have a little bit more stay power. But it can all get unwound. But also, the more that he fluctuates, just like he did with Canada, a month ago, where we saw he was hard on Canada, and then he said, "Okay, we won't do it. We won't do it because you're adding a fentanyl czar." Like that was enough to make him change his mind. At that point, if you see that type of volatility, you're not like, "Oh, I'm going to move my factories from Vietnam to America because 5 years, this is what you have to do." So I think we got someone here saying Biden did not unwind China tariffs from last time. Yeah, I mean, that's true. If these things stay on for a long time, it's a different story. It's just at this stage right now, it's very hard to know where we'll be in a week.
Do you think there's any chance that Congress will step in? Because what he's doing, as I understand it, I have not dug in, he's basically using like certain emergency powers. Which have only been used in a handful of situations.
Yeah, I'm way outside my comfort zone here, but I did see some posts yesterday that like Congress could maybe kind of like step in on tariffs. I just don't have enough expertise on the inner workings of Washington to know.
Sure, which just adds to the volatility, right? Because we don't know what Trump's real plans are. We don't know if Congress can get these effectively repealed. We've got states like California are asking for their own breaks. California has to be exempt from the retaliatory tariffs. And California's got one of the biggest GDPs in the world. So that actually is a big deal.
Did you see that Mando meme?
I haven't seen Mando's. Yeah. What did he say?
It's a video, John. It's like California when China hits USA with reciprocal tariffs, and then it's just John Cena speaking Chinese.
Oh yeah, he's
fucking died, man. Like that.
Mando is on one for sure.
Yeah. Sorry. That shit was so funny. I don't know, guys. I think this is part of the. I think the best take was Sam talking about agent of chaos, right? Like Trump's chaotic. We knew chaos. I think we said it on the show for months. Like expect just max chaos and max volatility for the beginning, but he flips easily, Sam. Like he did it with Canada, right? All it takes a little call, little thank you, and he'll remove those. Like as fast as he just slapped them with tariffs, he'll probably remove them just as fast. Like for me, I'm down bad in spot, but I'm also not I feel like a lot of people are fearful. Like I'm not scared. Like I felt scared after FTX. I was scared for my economic situation personally, right? For my household, let's say, even though I have no kids, I'm scared for my business, but I'm not scared here,
Yeah, and I think Bitcoin at 82,000, it's hard to be. People are, it's hard to.
I mean, people are on alts, right? So my Solana bag is down horrendously, and my Sonic isn't great. But when I see Bitcoin holding so strong, and I feel like this is where we can build this Bitcoin narrative. A lot of people laughed at gold last week. Peter Schiff, notably, right? Oh, gold is pumping all-time highs. Bitcoin's getting decimated. But this is where Bitcoin builds its narrative, I feel.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it's an important time to pay attention to the Bitcoin equities correlation and the Bitcoin gold correlations as well. I know you were talking about that. I've been following a little bit. I don't have New Hedge Pro, so I can't see the most up-to-date numbers, but you can just start to see that correlation with equities tweaking a little bit here because Bitcoin has been relatively strong. in the last couple of days. So this is a chance to create the narrative that I think Bitcoiners and many cryptocurrency enthusiasts and investors, of course, have championed for a really long time. That hasn't really ever come to fruition, at least in my opinion. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Could be a huge catalyst for Bitcoin here, right? If Bitcoin outperforms here, especially if some of the big corporate stocks continue to fall, that's a big deal. And we haven't seen it, right? I think some of the knock on Bitcoin lately is it's been too correlated with the S&P. I think, Sam, you've been even sharing some charts of what Bitcoin is correlated with. It seems like it's more correlated with what, Tesla than it was the NASDAQ.
Yeah, like if you go back 6 months, Bitcoin had zero correlation with gold. It's been quite correlated with stocks, and it's been even more correlated with Tesla than with the S&P 500 or NASDAQ. So, I read that as like Bitcoin and Tesla are both trading as like, just to be blunt, like how many favors is the government going to do for these assets? Like, like how much is Tesla going to get pumped by Trump and Elon, and how much, Bitcoin clearly, like we're all just sitting here waiting for Trump to pump our bags. So I think they've kind of just been trading as these, sort of quasi like dunk on the libs, like is Trump in control assets? When he's feeling in control, Bitcoin and Tesla do well. When it's like you're not sure what's going on, they've both done a little bit worse. So there's been more correlation there, but Tesla is down pretty bad today, right? And Bitcoin's holding in.
It is. And the thing about Tesla is like, this is where I still don't know like where we're at. And Broke, you said you're not fearful. And I like to hear that. I'm not fearful either, especially not for a crypto lens. I think from some of these stocks though, like, I don't know.
I got a call from my mom this morning about her 401k, which I think might be the first time in history I've received a call of that nature. But my parents are both retired. They of course need and depend on that type of money, to live their lives and to create the lifestyle that they're hoping to. She's not full panic. She's not super, into financial stuff anyway. So tried to reassure her as best I could, but that was a little, just a small anecdote that I'm sure more conversations like that are happening throughout the world, particularly in the United States right now, about like what's the future holding for people who really need that type of money to live every single day. And that's not even to have the conversation about the potential price impacts at the consumer level for people that aren't retirees and what may come there. I was looking at a Wall Street Journal article headline that said something about like Americans are rushing to buy TV, soy sauce, and Lululemon workout gear to jump ahead of potential price spikes from tariffs and inflation.
What?
So, yeah. But I mean, those are very real impacts as well that are yet to be seen, or maybe starting to be seen, but people are trying to get ahead of it.
Well, quickly,
an eye opener for me.
If you're rushing to buy Lululemon pants, you're not too worried about.
I don't think so.
There's knockoff brands you can buy, folks.
I feel like Lulu's making healthy margins.
Yes,
as much as I love
just fine.
$80 t-shirts.
Sam, I felt like you were going to jump in there.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, this is kind of what we were talking about earlier today, though, Tyler. It's I still don't feel like we're treating it like it's real. Like if in a week, the average goods you get on Amazon go up 30%. And like, or buying a bottle of wine goes up 30% or whatever it is. Like, I like, not only is my bag down, but shit's more expensive. And that money actually is all going to the government. Like, there's something about like when prices are higher, you're like, oh, I'm kind of like, you're feeling the economy. Here it's just going, it's tax money, it's going to governments. It's going, so like, I think in a week, if this all goes through, it's going to be interesting to see how, and either consumers are going to pay or corporates are going to pay and stocks go a lot lower. But I think I think right now the market is still pricing in that there's some resolution to be had in the next 6 days, that this doesn't fully go through. I also but to Logan's point, like there's a narrative out there, which I just think is dumb, which is like, oh, like the average American doesn't care about stocks. Like this is just the elites who care. I'm like, every caddy I've ever had sits around trading Robinhood. Like, I don't know who you guys are talking to, but like, yeah, I'm sure that there is a good chunk of people who aren't like deep in, but like most people own some stocks in some way. And
they don't day trade it, but they definitely have a 401k.
Yeah, we have 401k or they trade stocks. There's a huge movement out there to try to like retire, to save all your money, get more money in the S&P 500. There's kind of this truth in America that stocks go up over time if you just hold. Like there are a lot of people who have stock exposure. So I think there's kind of like this shift to like, oh, the average person doesn't care. It's just the elites. I'm calling BS on that. I think that's cope. I think
there's also a lot of headlines right now, right? Like all these people like Logan, I don't want to assume what channel your parents watch, but they watch the news on TV, I'm assuming, and they see all the headlines. So of course, that whole part of the people in America are starting to get worried a little bit and wonder what to do next.
We got Chandler making this point that I'm calling BS on. Like he's saying, there are a lot of people. Like, yes, there are some, but like this is a country that prides itself on stocks not tanking 10% in 2 days. Like, and Logan's mom's calling. My caddy's interested. Like, there are a lot of people who are affected by stocks going down.
Yeah,
time to pivot to Bybit.
That might be the call. I listen to the local radio, like when I'm going to pick up my kids.
There you go.
And yesterday, like they never talk about markets. They're talking about pop culture. Which rightfully so. They're playing music and keeping light conversation. Yesterday they said, don't look at your stocks, folks. You own stocks, don't look at it. So it's out there. Farouk, I'm curious, like what's the boots on the ground European sentiment right now? If you want me to to where you've been the last couple of days and kind of what kind of conversations you've had there, I'm curious.
I think I was at Watches and Wonders, right, in Geneva for this huge watch convention. It's like the biggest watch convention conference in the world. And I was invited by Richemont, which is one of the largest watch luxury groups in the world, right? $120 billion company. And the reason why they invited me, Laux, our CEO, and Danny Seedphrase, is because they kind of want to learn more about how the minds of the people in crypto are as consumers. But every single brand we visited, I had meetings with 12, 14 brands in 2 days. It was just one after the other. I'm talking Piaget, I don't know, Vacheron, the biggest watch brands in the world, literally. They were so excited to dive into crypto and learn more about crypto. We had dinner with the head of payments at Vacheron, at Richemont, the entire group, or the head of all global marketing, has been there for 25 years. They were the most excited about meeting us. So again, but we've said that before, Tyler, institutional versus crypto is such a different feeling. That's why I guess I'm never bearish, is just because I see this wave coming. I spoke to Gégé Lecoultre, all these big brands, and wow, we want to get into crypto. It's just tough because money laundering laws, blah, blah. We don't accept crypto yet. And I get it. It's tough to accept crypto at that scale, but they're the most interested about the people in crypto. So I thought we were going to be greeted oh, it's the crypto guys, but they were all whoa, okay, let's spend time with them. And I sat with them for 30 minutes to an hour with every single one of these brands. We're talking all these big conglomerates, and dude, they're excited, man. So people there's this thing about crypto, the head of global marketing, Richemont, $100 billion company, comes to you and wants to spend 2 whole days with you at an important conference like this. I don't know. To me, this is all telling. They're interested by our market. They're interested by our network participants. And so it's tough for me to feel any bearishness out. Prices suck, but I'm like Logan. I'm not looking much these days, and when you don't look much, it helps.
It does help. It helps so much. My aside from the fact that the sun is shining way more here than it does at home, which is a huge benefit. Actually, literally not getting on my phone to refresh prices. Of course, I'm working in the industry, so I'm doing it quite a bit anyway. But it's a life hack. It really is. I don't have any of the apps on my phone right now, and it's been beneficial during this time.
Logan just wants to disconnect. Farouk, I feel like they're just tired of seeing the Watch King flipping watches as crypto bros make, $50K on Farcoin and tip one other day. It's just they want their cut of the crypto bro money. But no, I think it's a good sign.
They do. They want our money, literally, because they know we have money. They know it's real money too, right? The money's in the bank. You can't just go cash it out like that. So I don't know. For me, I look at signals like that, but it's a longer cook.
Yeah, 100%. Well, in more near-term cooks, there's a couple interesting markets out here. So one, number of rate cuts in 2025. It's kind of a tale of two stories. So I saw right before the show, there's a 15% chance of a rate hike in 2025. And I think we've seen some major banks calling for a rate hike. Yet the odds of 4 cuts are the highest they've ever been here, up to 18%. Wow, I'm just saying 8 or more is up to, wow. That's
Damn.
really good, folks. I've been following this market. Wow. So I'm a little surprised to see this here live. 200 bips cuts is now up to 15%. Wow. So some huge moves in this market. Sam, maybe I'll toss it to you. Do you have a read on this, or is this just another total toss-up that we have to just wait to see like how real all this is?
It's one of those things that's so hard to say, right? Because the Fed, their primary goal is to keep inflation around 2%. And we were just talking about how the price of many goods could go up 30% next week, but that's like a self-inflicted wound. This is not like market dynamics causing it. So, it's going to be, I think we're clearly going into what like an inflationary period, but it's a bit of an artificial inflation, so do you use rate? Do you hike or cut rates to fight that? I just don't know, so they're basically here saying that growth is about to torpedo downward and, inflation's going to be high. And what do you do in that environment on the rates front, especially given that the cause of the inflation is tariffs as opposed to loose money, so it's and I think it's probably rare that you're going to get poly markets so all over the place when it comes to predictions. Yeah. And it's probably because this is like an extremely kind of almost unprecedented set of circumstances that we have here.
Absolutely. I mean, Peter James, the piercing volatility has never been more real. 24% chance of an emergency rate cut in 2025 now. So that's up from 14% just yesterday. How many rate?
I mean, and that's basically just saying, like, that was what you said about the moon overload. I mean, I think like if you get some world where like the 30% price hikes or 20% happen across the board, like maybe that's what, because emergency rate cuts basically say we can't wait a month. We need to do this immediately because things have suddenly got so bad and we didn't foresee it coming. Like, so that is it is like a very acute kind of thing that would cause an emergency rate cut.
Yes, which feels on the table. Like so many outcomes feel like they're on the table. The other one is the recession odds now up to 56%. So back on March 27th, these were 33. So substantial increase here. The definition of folks aren't familiar. There's two. Basically, if this National Bureau publicly announces a recession, so that's a little bit more wishy-washy, right? Because it comes down to rhetoric a bit more, and we can see governments perhaps use different types of language. But the number two here is more metric-based, and so seasonal adjusted annualized percentage change in quarterly U.S. real GDP. If that's negative for 2 straight quarters, that meets the definition of recession. So I'm pretty sure that we know Q1 was net negative. I think I've seen the Atlanta GDP numbers. They're somewhere between -2.5% to -3.7%. Sam, I'm not sure if you've been dialed into that much at all. So to me, like the bet here is like, do you think if Q2 is worse than Q1, this is like a lock? I mean, like what have you looked at this market and do you have broader thoughts on like recession here?
I haven't. Like I don't spend, I feel like US recession is so definition prone, like this type of thing, like what, and I feel like it's like if growth is 0.1% versus negative 0.1%, like there's just a difference of 20 basis points, but we freak the fuck out because of that, like that term. It just feels like kind of a media contrived, like kind of like over hyping of the number 0, but maybe that's a bad take. But yeah, I wouldn't say this is something I like. This specific stat as far as like annual GDP growth is one that I'm like hyper dialed into right now. But yeah, I mean, if again, it all, to me, a lot of it just comes back to this idea of like, what, like, is this all actually going to go through? Like, have you looked at the chart that looks at like America's historic average tariff? I'm not sure if you brought that up, but like it shows just how insane of an outlier, the moment we're in is if everything doesn't change. I'll get it and send it to you. Yeah.
Pull that out. That is a very interesting one. I'm trying to find it. So basically, like it's just, I've got one here from Geiger Capital. Always incredibly reliable source, but I think the chart is accurate. Overall weighted average tariff is 29%, highest in over 100 years. And just like to show you where we were at, like it's just like it's off. It's like almost literally off the charts. So
yeah, I mean, So it's like, how do you how do you even think about these things? Like, what's going to happen once that happens? Like, it's and especially as I said, is it going to happen? Like, are we going to come to some deals over the next 6 days so that it doesn't happen? Like, it's hard to predict.
We're all just working through our thoughts on the timeline. I appreciate your comments earlier. I think some folks were replying that, now crypto Twitter is all tariff experts. I don't know. We're all just trying to work through this in real time.
You gotta be. I mean, it's like, you can sit around saying like Doge versus Sheeb versus Farcoin versus AIXBT versus Cerebro or whatever they're all called. And we can spend all our time freaking out over the money you can make. But if you miss these types of moves, these make those moves look irrelevant. Like, macro is what determines things. So you got to just test your luck at trying to form opinions on this stuff. And if you're forming opinions, post them like that. I think that's like a great way to test your opinions and to get feedback. And it's and NFT God's a pretty controversial person. And, I think I have a love-hate relationship with his content, but he always says this. He's like, research something and post it. And I think like you should be doing that about macro. It's the most important thing for your bag.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. That's what Twitter's for. So I want to talk a little bit. Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about what are we buying? Are we buying anything?
Farcoin, bro. Every dip.
I know you're a shopper right now. So we've got
every
Bitcoin
time Farcoin dips 20%, I'm buying it and then just sell it every time it rips.
Wow.
And just repeat until last night I texted the chat. I was like, Farcoin's looking good at 380 and then went to 500 million this morning. Farcoin, man. I think you could just like focus on a couple intraday coins and just take a break. I ain't trying to catch runners though. I don't know. That's your stuff.
It's a little wild to see Farcoin up 25% on a day where global markets are panicking.
What do you think drives
that what makes it funnier?
Like, what drives 25% moves in Farcoin? Like, are there insiders buying? Is it like, what leads to these types of moves? Is it really low supply? Like, these are crazy moves. And I find normally there's some sort of thing going on.
Hot air rises. 3 words.
I think the reality is there's $4 million in the liquidity pool. So it doesn't take a whole lot of net capital to move these things. And I mean, I shared the chart. I mean, Dip Wheeler, like he's the meme god that he is. He posts
trade,
just keeps going up. Like, people are, I don't know if it's the financial nihilists out there, like they want to get gambling their way out is the only chance that they see, or just the lack of, like, there's nothing else going on in the market. But there's one seemingly consensus meme coin out there, and that is Farcoin. People keep buying it. Like that is my anecdotal read. Now, what's driving day-to-day 25% candles? It's probably a group of whales, maybe playing some whale games. But the fact that it's held this high amidst the broader market crash, I think, is a sign of optimism for the Farcoin cohort out there. And every day it holds over 400 million. I think the army gets a little bit stronger and a little bit more confident. So that's my take as a holder.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think the narrative is really malleable for Farcoin as well. You get into this space where like everybody feels like everything is complete bullshit. Everything's made up. Everything Trump's doing is just like random and off the cuff. And you get back to like, all right, well, F it. I'm just going to buy something called Farcoin because like whatever, like that narrative has been attached to it to some degree for the entire time. Of course, it started with the AI attachment and its adjacency to, to GOAT and things like that. But I just think the narrative here is so malleable that that could be a little strong catalyst, for the foreseeable future.
And I tweeted this out before the show. People are playing this game.
Yeah,
people are playing the meme coin game right now. There's volume.
Abstract has crazy runners. I'm in none of them, but I'm just seeing people cook on there.
This Titcoin was up 70% on the day. It's at 34 million. Buttcoin up 78. I got everyone who's listening or watching. I'm fully conscious of how ridiculous these words that I'm saying are. But this is the state of the market right now. Tickcoin is a meme coin that posts content that you would expect, and the logo is a flip.
Oh, it's great.
And that has been enough to really rally a group behind it. And honestly, I would not short this thing. I'm not a holder. I don't hold this, but it looks quite strong. And then it's got downstream derivatives, Buttcoin, and then now this house coin. We're going to flip the housing market disclosure. I do hold some of that. It's been
That's a good trade. You told us that early. You gave us that one.
But I don't know. This aspect of the casino isn't shutting down. I think that's the takeaway that I'm saying. I want to maybe talk something a little bit more serious. We're talking about the AI sector. I mean,
that's cooked, baby.
Action, I mean, ARK has gotten obliterated. ARK is now 37 million. So price action's been bad, but we had a really insightful conversation with the Wayfinder team yesterday with Kalos and Adrian. They talked us through their agents. And I think there was a very strong and loud cohort of people on crypto Twitter who said this whole crypto AI meta is total vaporware and slot bots. And a lot of that, and a lot of it was. This is not vaporware. If you look at these demos, if you start interacting with their agents, Midas, Autonomous, Vulcan, Andy 8052 has been demonstrating what you can do. You can effectively vibe code whatever crypto application you want. You are limited by your ideas. And their tools will help you create all the code for that. Midas is their version of your AI trading copilot. So no longer do you have to be the one who clicks the buttons to say, I want to bridge 10 Solana over to ETH and swap it to USDC. Now you can use natural language and tell their AI agents to do that. That feels to me like the type of thing that once it gets enough trust and enough people behind it could actually be a game changer. But Logan, I know you've been following Parallel for a while. I'm curious for your reactions to that conversation yesterday.
Yeah, so as a disclosure, I'm a prime casher, have put some money behind my conviction here and what they had shared yesterday. I encourage everybody to go listen to the conversation. I don't want to try to repeat too much of what they said because I'm not going to say it anywhere near as well. But it's exactly what you were alluding to, Tyler. It does feel like a level or two above a lot of the things that we saw during that AI bubble, which they called social agents, which I think most of us called AI slot bot reply guys. You can actually vibe code or vibe interact your way through crypto. And it may not seem that appealing to those of us who are, active and have the technical acumen to make those types of trades, right? Like swapping Solana for USDC isn't difficult for us at this point in time. But when you think about onboarding more people to crypto and the technical barriers to doing so, something like this is potentially very, very impactful. Because one of the reasons that maybe more folks haven't participated alongside us is that it is difficult to do. And there are a lot of crazy little nuances that you need to know in order to go from chain to chain to chain. So I'm really excited about that. As another disclosure, I've used Midas. I had it find me the best yield for USDC and just went ahead and, it's 2 or 3 messages. This was early. I got early access because of, prime caching maybe a month ago or so, but it's pretty incredible. And tell it to do things for you, and it's going to do it. I mean, that's the type of world we want to be able to live in, and we're sort of seeing it play out and be manifested via this. And as you noted, you're only limited by ideas. I think a lot of people have had really awesome ideas in crypto, and it's difficult to implement them, oftentimes. Hopefully this helps us get more of those across the finish line.
So Logan, tell me specifically, what did you do? You just typed into a ChatGPT interface. You said, find me what specifically did you do? Yeah, so I had access to the transaction agent. Again, believe his name's Midas or whatever else they've codenamed it. You go in. It's very similar to a ChatGPT interface or any typical chat messaging app interface. And I knew, what my balances were and everything. And I just asked it to find me the best yield for my USDC. It came back with the responses of, here's via Aave, this is whatever the percentage was. And then I asked it to go ahead and,
activate that more or less, like, put my USDC to work in one of those pools, says, okay, you confirm the transaction like you would any other crypto transaction, which is something Kalos was saying yesterday to the trust point. Like, how do you trust this? Well, in that instance, it's very similar to completing a transaction in any other way. Completed it, and it's still staking. So yeah, it's on a wallet that I don't have access to at this point in time, but to pull up or share with you, unfortunately. But it was maybe 3 minutes of some back and forth, like it finding the the rates for me deciding which one I'd want to take advantage of, then telling it, and then it go ahead and making the move for me. That's pretty awesome.
What I pulled from it too is that the way it works, I'll admit here, I have not used it and I need to, is it basically like you ask it to do something and it shows you the step simulations so you can see specifically what's going to do. And then if you like that, you can click the approve button. So that's how you can kind of build some level of trust. I feel like this is big. Like I've been in conversations with Sam, and he's asking like, okay, what's the best bridge from chain A to chain B? Well, now, like if you ask a question about that, like in a more real world topic, I can say, well, let me chat GPT that for you. Now you can say, let me Midas that for you. Or soon you just go directly to Midas and then you ask it these questions. And then maybe early on you fact check it with your sharp buddies to see like, is this actually right? But then once it is right, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, then you start using it for more things. So I think it's a big deal. It's going to be a fun one to follow. And folks, if you're not following, their TGE is sometime in the next 2 weeks, maybe even 1 week. So they said first couple of weeks of April. So that's going to be a big one to watch. Let's talk about punks a little bit. We've got 10 minutes left in the show. I guess quick for those who are interested in the Rollbit spins later on the show here in just a few minutes. Stocks is the code. Stocks is today's code. We will be doing those spins here in just a few minutes. Punk floor holding up okay. 41.6 ETH. Unless one just sold.
You're up in ETH.
We're down a bit in the Punk Bitcoin spread. We're down.
But you're up in ETH now.
We're up 6%. We're down 6% rather. A couple nice sales. We saw this nice 3D lady sell for 69.69. That was a nice one to see. But then this is the one that jumps out to me. CryptoPunk 39.92. That slick gold chain.
JZ
has only been.
You're muted.
It's only been sold one time.
Don't you see me in this punk?
Yeah, dude, that's
gold chain. This is me.
When Mohawk.
I don't. I think I'm like my balding. I maybe just a Mohawk's probably the way.
If this was
that
a
middle
2021 bull run, if this was a 2021 bull run, this would be digital blackface and you get canceled for it. Just kidding.
2025, man.
Dude, that is a sick punk. I didn't realize you bought that until I saw a new PFP on Telegram.
Yeah. I like this punk, and I think I've got a white skin male, I got a white skin female. I was like, let's mix it up, get some cultural diversity in my punk collection. I'm
a fan.
It's quite the collection. 3 punks now.
I know, and they're all down bad. So I'm like, you know how like I actually got into crypto because of punks. Like I think everyone's got their crypto asset that they feel the most connection to, and for me, it's punks.
Same.
And normally I want to sell my punks. I'm like, why am I in this liquid stuff? But then a week ago, I was kind of like, I kind of like that punk, and it looks kind of like Jay-Z, and it's a good compliment to my collection. And then you just spend a week being like, ugh, am I going to buy this? And then one morning, you just push confirm. You're like, what the fuck did I just do? Y'all know the feeling.
Yes.
I
bought it more as a collector than like as a collector. I'd say if I had to like tie it to some macro trend going on out there, I'd say I think that my ETH is kind of pretty idle, and my crypto bag I keep in crypto, and my Bitcoin's bigger than my ETH, but I have this ETH sitting there. I feel like it's going down every day. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. Like, let's just put it into a punk that I actually like. So it was a bit, I would not say that I would read this as a smart money move. It was just like more of a collector, more like, I kind of like that punk. It'd be a nice addition to my collection. And once you decide you might want to buy one, you can convince yourself of all sorts of reasons to buy it. So among the reasons I convinced myself, I was like, I have 3 kids. Now I need 3 punks, 1 for each of them. Like just
Absolutely.
stupid
But,
shit.
hey, dude, absolutely. It'll get passed on. You know, you don't, what is it? That you pass on next generation, you know, that's it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I can't just give each of my kids a punk. That's
No.
ridiculous.
You never actually own a punk. You merely look after it for the next generation.
Exactly.
The
That's
second,
it.
yeah.
Like Cyrus pinged me though. He's like, hey, why'd you buy a punker? I was like, because I'm an idiot. Like I love punks. Also, I will say this: my only 2 punks are Punk 9059, which is my handle, and my PFP. So like I feel like I can never ever trade those. I'm
Sure.
like, oh yeah, if we get a rally, maybe I can. This one is a bit more kind of transferable, but I'm starting to like it.
Yeah. Well, I certainly understand that. I'm showing Jay-Z's Twitter page because I think there's some folks who have joined the space since 2021 who may not know.
Dude,
Like
Mr. Carter
is like the Jay-Z punk. Like
Yep.
basically your cousin here. So
It's
there used to
such
be
a-
rumors
it's so
about
clean.
those chain punks. There was rumors about those chain punks 2021, how Jay-Z would throw special events for chain punks, and then you could go, and then the chain punks ripped for the highest time, had the most insane floor, like hoodie punks.
there's only 169.
If you believe that, Farouk, I got a Moonbird to sell you.
I never believed that. That's why I don't own one.
Oh, today I learned the women gold chain is horizontal.
Yes, sir.
Same with silver. It's not a good trade. I really don't like those choker look. Like it does not look good to me.
The hidden gold chain is my favorite. This is a sick one.
Yeah, the hidden gold chain is gangsters. Fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy the idea that single pixel adds like 10 grand to the price.
Probably more.
Yeah.
Or like 30 to 40
more.
grand.
I just like to keep it muted. Yeah.
I just need these punks to go a little lower. Like I want more, but I don't like the floor as much. So I don't know. They're holding nice though.
You said you bought it as a collectible, but do you have a take on punks versus Bitcoin over the next 6 months, 9 months?
I really like punks, man. I like punks and I like Bitcoin. I like both of them. Like I think I always say, like in crypto, assets are like wine. You want you want to own the old stuff. The stuff that's surviving the test of time, I think, is like the best stuff to own. And but yeah, I mean, ETH is very fragile right now, and punks are denominated in ETH, so it is hard to like want to dump too much into it. I'd say I don't. If I didn't have ETH in a wallet and it was like use another currency to buy, I'm not even sure I would have. I was just like sick of having this wallet with ETH doing nothing, so I was like, all right, I'll just buy a punk with it. But
yeah, ETH, I sort of goes no use. I have a question because I'm with Danny, and today he asked me, he was like, if ETH goes to 0, the punks go to 0.
I'll buy a ton of them.
At 0?
I'll buy a ton of 0.
Because we didn't get to claim them.
I'll buy a ton with ETH at 100. If ETH goes to 100, I'll just buy a ton of punks. Like,
so what's up with the punk claimer, Wilcox, legend? I mean, legendary criminal now, I guess, but or not. But there's this punk claimer, Wilcox, who's like a legend in the streets of CryptoPunks. And he came, $10 million short of his tax bill. And now he's got the IRS on his ass. So this Wilcox guy is a top 10 holder of punks. He still have 100 of them. Do we think? So is the IRS about to seize punks? And does that mean that punks will be in the reserve?
I don't think so. I don't think they would take the punks. Punks feel like a very unattractive asset for a government to own.
So what's the story here? Like, what's the story? Did you guys read that?
My guess is he claimed tons of punks. He sold a lot.
No, he's a legendary punk collector. Like,
yeah, he claimed tons. He sold them over time, and my guess is he didn't declare taxes, and it was public enough that he got caught.
And this is wild. So this is alleged, but this is from folks the IRS website. So this is beyond just like a news story.
Yeah, I'm not making this shit up. Like, this is like.
So underreported his income from 2021 by $8.5 million, and then again next year by $4.6 million. So he underreported by $13 million. That's a big number, folks.
That's just a small decimal, right?
I mean, basically what happened is he claimed these punks and he sold them, over time, and he didn't tell the IRS. So
why was there an article on this? Like, why is the IRS writing about $10 million article?
Probably because they want to send a message to NFT holders that they're watching.
Yeah, bro, for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah. They say it, right? It's committed to unraveling complex financial schemes involving virtual currencies and non-fungible tokens, right? And this could I could even see like the more like that Trump is making crypto political to a degree too, right? So I could actually see a part of this becoming a little bit more of a political attack too from those that are still.
My guess is this is more legacy Biden, though. Like, I don't think this.
It's been underway. It didn't start.
This has been a long process. Like, you don't just suddenly realize someone sold. Like, yeah. But it maybe, but for I don't know. I don't know enough about tax evasion to know how frequent, $15 million of unreported income is. But maybe it's not that frequent, and when they get someone, they post it.
Yeah, that's a big number. Pay your taxes, folks. I think the big question though is like, what is going to happen to his punks? Like, is he going to be forced to sell these? Is he not going to be able to sell because he's going to be in jail for 3 years? I have no idea. Like, if these types of offenses typically come with jail time, or if you typically like negotiate it down.
I would think they would rather have him just pay a big fee. Would be my. But I like this is way outside my comfort zone. And hopefully will remain outside my comfort zone for as long as I shall live.
Indeed. Well, that takes us to most of our topics. Sam, I wanted to just check in. Meme anything to report on? What's cooking over there?
I mean, Memeland bought a public company. So, 2440.hk. Pull it up.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Finance@yahoo.com. I mean, this is something that Ray wanted to do. He bought the public company. And before even doing anything, the company pumped to $100 million valuation just for basically the shell company. I think he has all sorts of ideas for the stuff he wants to do with the company. But I think that is one of the more interesting things. Like, it's like clearly it was influenced by MicroStrategy. And I think the original idea, because this is something he's been cooking on for like a year, the original idea was for this to be like a MicroStrategy, but for meme coins. And and it could also be a long-term steward for meme coins. Like, you go and that this company is going to hold meme coins but not sell them. So like this would be a great place to park supply for coins, because it's a long-term holder and a way for public markets to get access to meme coins. That was one of the ideas. Obviously, we're not in as meme coin conducive of an environment right now as we were 6 months ago when this was all cooking on the idea. But there are all sorts of other kind of plans for what to do with this. To me, the most important thing with everything kind of meme land related is that meme coin ends up being the primary stakeholder and the beneficiary. So that's a little bit of a tightrope, but certainly something that we're focused on. There are a couple other products. I think a couple other products that we're cooking that I think could be interesting, where I think there might be real product use case, but they're still not out there in the wild or discussed. Probably a few months out before I think you start to see those. So I'm spending a little bit of time kind of working on some products that we haven't really discussed publicly. I'm a big fan of not discussing some of these things publicly. The minute you start talking about it, it becomes a little bit harder to kind of get your day-to-day through. We have Meme Pay, which was a credit card product that I think has done some interesting things, but that's become a bit of a crowded space. But between Meme Strategy, Meme Pay, and a couple other products we're working on, the bunny marches on, man.
Well, we love to hear it. This is exciting stuff. Sam, I want to thank you for joining us. It's been an incredible conversation. We are going to get into our rollbit spins, so feel free to stick around. Sims, if you're ready, I might actually have to step away just for a quick second while we get that ready. I got to go open my door. I'll be right back as we get this ready. And folks, the code last second, it is stocks.
Stocks, baby. Let's go. I'll run it up. I got the rollbit open. Stocks. STOCKS. Got a nice little loot box ready for your asses. See if someone wins punk. I got a nice cringy hair punk on in there for you guys. All right, Sams. Let's pull it up, baby. Let's put it up. Stocks was the code. Let's see who gets this. Let's see. Oh, Speaker Dad! Let's go! Come on, baby! Speaker Dad! Come on, Papa! Let's go! That's the homie!
Wow, let's go!
Homie, baby!
This is my Chicagoland homie. We have the same hairdresser. What's going on this now?
Fucking go!
see him. All right, I see him. Okay.
Let's fucking go, baby.
Oh my goodness, Sneaker
Let's go. Let
Dad,
me share my screen.
my man. Long term. We met back at a collector's dinner at NFT NYC back in 2022. Had chatted and been friends online ever since. Sneaker Dad GM, how you doing, my friend? You won.
Oh, dude, happy fucking Friday. This has been a great week. Just started working with Spencer Ventures this week.
Yes.
Nice, congrats.
That's huge.
So it's been a great fucking week. And oh, by the way, Tyler, I don't know if you mentioned this because I was connecting, but we also have the same hairstylist.
We sure do.
Hairdresser.
Shout out to Molly. Yeah.
Shout out.
Wait, you guys have the same hairdresser?
We do. Yeah.
That's so funny.
We didn't even know it. She knew that I was into like NFTs and stuff. She's like, oh, I have this really long-term client. Like he's been with me for like 10 plus years. His name is Tyler. And I was like, no way. It's like, I know that guy. So anyways, I digress.
Did you tell Molly that Tyler is a micro niche celebrity?
Oh yeah. Like one of the last few times I was like, hey, I don't know if you know this, but like Tyler's blown up. I was like, he's kind of a big deal now. Not that he wasn't before, but like
you got to tip more now.
I think she ups my rates. So thank you for that.
Dude, yeah, she's up my rates too, but you know.
All right, let's give this man a crypto punk.
Yeah,
you know?
let's get a punk for Sneaker.
Can you guys see my screen? Because I'm on laptop.
Yeah, we can see it.
All right, you ready?
Let's do it. Come on, Sneaker Dad. Let's get a punk.
Woo!
Penguin!
Go on! Yeah! Come on!
Oh,
Project Penguin, baby! Let's
my
fucking
man.
go!
Yes.
Let's go! Let's go!
$20,000 win today, my friend.
Let's fucking
Boom!
go!
How about that?
Boom!
I love you guys.
Let's go. Love to see our longtime listeners and friends win in this space.
I want a penguin. Fuck.
Here comes
Fucking day. Holy shit, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Yeah, you guys are killing it. Rug Radio, Dastin, Decrypt, Myriad. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Awesome, my man. We'll see you after the show. Thanks, guys. Everyone, that's going to be it. That is our show. What a way to end the week. We will be back on Monday. Till then, go make it a beautiful day. Goodbye.
Peace out.